And don't let Charlie tell you that he's only a long-term investor and he has no sense of timing, because I know that he knew when he asked me to do this 6 months ago that when this rolled around, we would be back on the top of the performance charts, which is what the consultants tell me. So don't let Charlie tell you he has no keen sense of timing. This was a little quote in the journal when we set up Goodhaven in the spring of 2011. We had previously, as Charlie had said, been 2/3 of the investment team at Fairhome for the prior decade. We always get lots of questions about Fairhome and the changes there, and all we have to say is even the Beatles were only together for 8 years, so everything changes. Here is a wonderful quote. Our minority partner in Goodhaven, when we started the firm, is Markel Corporation. Tom Gaynor and Steve Markel, on behalf of the company, have been wonderful minority partners, and in a plug for them, they have built an unbelievably high-quality organization with a track record that is just remarkable. We are contrarian investors, and I think that if you are a contrarian, it is kind of in your blood. You have to be attracted to the unpopular, to the out of favor, to areas where there's fear or disinterest. And I think either you are drawn to that or you are not, because it's kind of hard to fake it. You will never make it through the difficult times, okay? And by the way, it's a wonderful thing in life to have a person in your life who is your contrary indicator, okay? Everybody's got their stupidest cousin who becomes a mortgage broker in 2006, or in March of '09 says it's the time to go to cash. All right, if nurture those relationships. Just don't tell them that they're the contrary indicator in your life. It's really valuable. Fear is a contrarian's best friend. These are quotes we've all seen many times. I mean, I can't argue with anything that Howard says, who's a wonderful guy in addition to being such a brilliant investor. And I don't think anybody would argue with any of these things. Now, the question is, why is it hard to execute? How do you do it? And what makes it a difficult strategy to employ? Being a contrarian is difficult because, and being a value investor, of course, very difficult too, because by its nature, you're periodically, or almost always, going to be a little early. You're going to have to withstand unbelievably negative headlines. You're going to have very different performance than market indices from time to time, and you've got to be able to live through that. If it was so easy, everybody would execute a strategy like this, but it's not. Here's a useful game, and I'm dating myself here because this is an old Value Line report. I see all the young people in the room are like, is that Capital IQ? Do I get that on Capital IQ? What is that? So no, this is a paper Value Line from a couple of years ago. In our early days, this was one of our largest investments in the beginning, and I used to show this to people, covering up the name and the description of the company, just to try and be intellectually honest and about what everybody's view was. And by the way, I think it's a wonderful exercise to do for yourselves, try and take away all the biases. And lots of people thought it was a fascinating company with an interesting progression of earnings growth, share count going down, healthy balance sheet, good margins, and this, that, and the other thing. And this was circa 2011, 2012. And then when they found that it was Microsoft, people went apoplectically upset. They were like, oh my God, do I own that? Why do I own that? That's awful. The company has missed every consumer trend, and management's terrible, and everyone's going to get Google Docs, and all the major products are going to go away. And this, stock was in the mid-20s at the time, and so forth and so on. And I used to say, but before you knew the name of the company, when you were just looking at the raw data, you had this very sensible, wonderful conclusion, and now you feel otherwise. So, Google, Alphabet, circa a couple of years ago, when it became a big holding for us, the view at the time was, one, they just paid $1.6 billion for YouTube. That was asinine. How could it be worth that? Management throws away money with no regard for returns or expenses. Paid search, in general, was about to peak. And people keep telling us that it was a one-trick pony, and I used to say I should have one trick that's as good as having created paid search.